Wow, I thought I was done being surprised by EA with kind of the bare minimum work that they will do for the Switch because, well, they don't put a lot of resources, it seems, into the Switch. A lot of their games will miss the system. A lot of us were even surprised that Need for Speed, it's finding its way to the platform, but it's coming out a week after the other versions, despite it leaking out early onto the eShop, showing that it is at least playable and seemingly ready to release. Anyway, with the latest iteration of FIFA 21 Legacy Edition, somehow they managed to do less than bare minimum. Like, it is truly impressive stuff here, and we're going to go over that here today. Guys, if you enjoy the video, make sure you like it down below and subscribe if you're new here. Now, EA and Nintendo have had some turbulent history, right, since the Wii U. The Wii U was not good for EA. They were actually there with support early on, and then the Wii U didn't go to plan for Nintendo. It wasn't great, and third parties really got hurt by it. They just didn't sell much of anything, and it's hard to do that with the install base that for most of its life was 10 million units or less. It finished out at, 13.5 million overall throughout the course of the generation, and most times, if you're a third party with some of these games, you're probably not going to make your money back on it. So since then, EA seems to be very cautious with the Switch, despite it being a heavy success. This is a system that is on pace to cross 100 million units without too much issue. Like, we'll probably be there in 2 years or so. It's happening very, very rapidly now. So you figure a company like EA that puts out a lot of games, sports games especially, they'd want to have the majority of their library on this very popular system, especially with current generation systems kind of transitioning over to next gen, install bases resetting and all of this. You figure a system that is on pace for 100 million units sold in like 5 or 6 years would be enough to hold up a game on its own even, or a port like FIFA. And in fact, earlier on, they did at least put a lot of work into FIFA. Remember when it first came out, they had an entire team that was dedicated to it. It got 60 frames per second. It looked good in handheld mode, and people liked the first outing for FIFA. I believe it was, FIFA 18? But since then, it has steadily declined to now it is literally roster updates. Like, we make that joke about sports games. It's like, oh, it's just a roster update for full price. This is literally a roster update and some tweaks to different stadiums for the most part, and it's $50. Now, this game just came out this past week, and we have the Metacritic page up right here. You see October 6th. It's out on other platforms as well, but the Switch version is indeed the bare minimum. It might even be less than the bare minimum. This really could have been a patch that they just pushed for people who have the current FIFA, and they just never put this in stores, and they would have rolled along, but I assume they wanted some sort of retail facing. And to be honest, for a lot of people who just buy these sports games every year, they probably got one over on them, because if it's a new game and you buy it from like GameStop or something, when you open it, that's it. You can trade it in, but EA still got the sale, and it's unfortunate because this should be a franchise that would do fairly well on a handheld system, you would figure. The only thing I can think of is EA just is not seeing the sales that they thought they were going to see from the Switch. But still, you feel like you would just continue releasing for a platform that is on the heavy rise right now. But over on Metacritic, people started reviewing it through user scores. And I know user scores are usually like, they're just getting review bombed. No, this is 0.7 is about right. Here's Jay Black, garbage game with zero effort by EA except roster change. The graphics are PS2 graphics. I mean, the graphics are what they are on the Switch. For most part, from what I was seeing, they look like an upgrade from even the 360 from when we were playing that, but also in handheld mode, which is good. However, it says there is zero incentive to get this game if you have FIFA 20 Legacy Edition or FIFA 19 even. In fact, yeah, you probably should just buy FIFA 19 if you want a good soccer or football game. Just go grab that one. Sold my copy back to GameStop after 24 hours. According to GameStop employee, I was the 5th person to sell a copy. That's the problem. You would be selling it back to them, right? They even say, unless you want to get $8 in GameStop store credit. Now, sometimes GameStop will do that guaranteed to love it thing where they sell it to you, and then you have so long to take it home and then play it. And if you don't like it, you bring it back. I think it was like 48 hours. They're not doing that with, I wouldn't do it with this one if I was GameStop. I'd be like, this thing is coming right back. It's FIFA 21 Legacy Edition. And if you're in business to make money like that, it's not technically GameStop's fault. It would be, of course, EA's fault for making a game that is badly underachieving for what it's on right now. It says, Alex is awesome. EA does it again and offers Nintendo Switch players a literal scam. It's a downgraded version, a blatant cash grab. EA seems to have no respect for the Nintendo Switch at all. Again, it's hard to refute that. We talked about that with Need for Speed. It's like, man, they keep doing these things with Switch games, and you want to say, no, EA, they're in it to make money. And then they keep doing these dumb things specifically on the Switch, and it does make you wonder if there really is a grudge for EA and the Switch. Also, I want to point something out here that's probably not great online, and that is the overall advertising for this, because like Amazon and some other places that I've noticed show this box art right here. All right, and at first glance, it's like, yeah, okay, that's FIFA 21 Legacy Edition. And I assume this is kind of the stock image that gets sent over, because a lot of times companies like EA, 2K, Activision, and any of these companies will release box shots that can be used for online retailers. This is missing a key piece of information that is on the actual box art, specifically on the front. Take a look here, right down here. There's a nice blank space next to the E for everyone. If we go over to what it would look like if you bought it on eBay, for example, look down here. It says updated kits, squads, and stadiums only. They're very honest on the copy that is in stores that you physically look at, but not on the box art that's sent out for retailers. Now, I'm sure retailers could update this if they have access to it, but the fact that it's just the Legacy Edition and they have so many others that they're trying to manage and work out. I also had this sent over to me, and you know what? I'll give IGN some credit here. This is pretty funny. This is on Reddit and got upvoted massively over this. It says IGN effectively copies and pastes their FIFA 21 Switch review to protest the lazy, yet full price FIFA release, scoring it a 2 out of 10. Let's take a look at that review real quick. And right at the top, because the rest of it is just copy and pasted, it is just FIFA 20's review. And really, I guess if they didn't really do a lot, then I mean, it's still relevant. So you just read through that same review. It says, seeing as EA copy and pasted last year's FIFA onto Switch again this year, once again saying it has the same gameplay without any new development or significant enhancements on its store page for the full price of $49.99, I've decided to do the same and copy and paste my review of FIFA 20 on Switch below as my review of FIFA 21. Now I want to tell you this, $50, there are a lot of games you can buy on the Switch for $50, especially if you like go to Walmart where they mark it down and it's like basically $50 there for most first-party games for Nintendo. Somebody buys a Switch and they're like, oh, I want FIFA. Let's get FIFA 21 Legacy Edition. They could have bought Breath of the Wild. Think about that for a minute, the value proposition between those two. So let's be real here. The situation around FIFA on the Switch is not good. It's gotten worse and worse every single year to the point where $50 gets you a roster update and a stadium update. It's to the point where I understand that the fan base likes the idea of a portable FIFA that you can play that is more reflective of the one at home rather than like one of the stripped down cell phone versions of FIFA that you can kind of play on your phone here and there. I get that this is interesting to the fan base, but there's got to be kind of a give and take here with EA. They have to put some effort in, and if they're charging you $50 for a roster update, that's pretty bad. That's taking advantage of the fan base that buys a yearly sports game. And we already have those memes about yearly sports games being roster updates. This is literally a roster update. So, you know what? If EA is not going to put the effort in, they just shouldn't even make it. Because $50 can go a long way elsewhere on the Switch. I mean, from where I'm saying, this just reinforces the belief that EA just doesn't like the Switch despite how popular it is becoming. And it's weird to me because if you're EA, you think in business terms, and it's like, make a bunch of money or hold a grudge. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.